Greetings everybody, Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. This is part 2 of my ranking of the David Byron era in Uriah Heep. Of course, he was the vocalist for Uriah Heep in the glory days in the beginning. So, with 9 albums in total, the first one, last time around, we had a look at 4 of them, and if you want to know what those 4 were, please check in the channel under videos and then you'll see which ones they are. So today it's going to be the top 5, and I think my top 5 pretty much going to stay the same, or have been for a while, as far as David Byron era goes. And yeah, so let's get stuck into it, shall we? Starting off with an album which took me forever to find. For whatever reason, I just could never find this album. And you know, back in the day here in Cape Town, I used to troll through all the second-hand alleyways and second-hand stores that I could find. Quite a few of them, in fact, were in a place called Claremont here in Cape Town. And I remember eventually finding this one in a little alleyway down there that I knew a guy used to sell vinyl and what have you back in the day. And yeah, there it was. Grabbed it with both hands. I said, thank you very much. I can't remember what I paid for it. It must have been about 10 Rand or something back then, I suppose. And the album I'm waffling on about is one called Sweet Freedom by Uriah Heep. Perhaps not a top 5 choice for many, but for me it's got so much to offer. There's a little bit of the acoustic side to Uriah Heep. You know, Mick Box is actually a really accomplished acoustic guitarist as well as an electric. Some incredible vocals on here from David Byron, and just another showcase of what he was capable of. Just want to see how many tracks. There's only 8 tracks on here, not really that long, so quite a shortish album, but really worth checking out. Let me just show you the inside. There's the lyrics. And then you open it up a bit further. Do you? Yes, you do. Pretty sure there's a photograph here of it. There we go. There's the guys in the band. In the middle there's Mick Box, there's Lee Kerslake, there's Gary Thane. He was the New Zealand bass player. There's the Ken Hensley. The late Ken Hensley was the main songwriter in the band, and of course there's David Byron. So what are the tracks on here? Dreamer, with some stunning vocal work from David Byron, almost Ian Gillan-like in some of his screeches that he gets on that track. Stealing, which was the hit off the album. There weren't many hits off this, and I think Stealing was the one and only. One Day, and then a beautiful title track, Sweet Freedom. Then we're going to side 2, If I Had the Time, also a really nice mellow track. Perhaps this album is a bit more on the mellow side. There aren't any really heavy rockers on here. A track called 7 Stars, which has got some interesting lyrics. It's quite a strange track, that. And then my favorite on here is a track called Circus, which has that sort of acoustic-y beginning. And just lovely subdued vocals from David Byron, and then finishing off with a track called Pilgrim. Yeah, it took me forever to find this. Eventually I did. Sweet Freedom from Uriah Heep. And there's the man himself, David Byron. Yeah, Gary Thane on here as well. Brilliant bassist. Sadly also no longer with us. In fact, none of these guys except for Mick Box are still on this earth, sadly. So that's my number 5. Right. Number 4, going back to the beginning, folks. Yes, the very humble, very heavy, very humble, and that's Uriah Heep's debut. That's actually David Byron there with all that sort of supposed to be cobwebs, I think. And apparently it took him forever to get it off. You know, these are the days when you didn't have Photoshop and all the rest of it that you could get away with. Here you actually had to do these kind of things. Yeah, old school. Let's see if there's anything else I could. This is a remastered with bonus tracks as well. There's an early shot of the band live. in action. There's lyrics. What else is early shot of the band? Anything else I can show you? A couple of, I think that was the original album sleeve in the American version of this album. Terrible cover. I mean, what the hell is that supposed to be? Some demonic centipede? Much prefer this one. Anyway, and there's the band over there. So, as far as debuts go, this was I think, a game changer. And these guys picked up so much flack from the critics. In fact, I think after hearing this album, some critics said, if this band goes on to make it, I'm going to commit suicide. So we don't know if he kept his promise or not. But they weren't the critics' favorites. But hey, they're just the critics. The people that matter, the fans, made this a big hit. Gypsy, there's a classic track for you. One of the best riffs in rock you'll ever hear, along with Smoke on the Water and Hollow Love. Gypsy actually starts off with Hammond organ, like that deep sound, and then goes into the riff with Mick Box on his, I think he was playing a Les Paul back in those days, who has played for most of his career, I think. And just a great track. Walking in Your Shadow is the next one, and then a beautiful track, very sad track. I think it's about losing somebody's life, either the daughter or the father. I think it was the loss of the father, seen from the daughter's perspective. It's called Come Away, Melinda. Beautiful track. Then you get Lucy Blues, which, as you can see, as you can understand, is a blues track. Bluesy, very nice. Dream Mare, Real Turned On, which has got a lovely rhythm to it from, I'm trying to think, who was the drummer here? Because Lee Kerslake hadn't yet joined the band. David Byron, Ken Hensley, of course, Mick Box, Ollie Olsen on drums, and Paul Newton on bass guitar. They were there right at the beginning. So this was before the days of Lee Kerslake, who was with him for quite a while. So that was Real Turned On, I'll Keep On Trying, and Wake Up, Set Your Sights, which had a slightly proggy feel to it as well. There was a lot of prog elements in the early part of Uriah Heep's history. Then you get some bonus tracks. You get a single version of Gypsy, Come Away Melinda, previously unreleased, obviously another version of that track, and then something called Born in a Trunk, previously unreleased. So these are the 3 bonus tracks over there. I think this has subsequently been released again. Super deluxe, fantastic. These days there's so many reissues. I'm quite happy with this, and this is pretty much all I need, really. And as far as debuts go, good stuff. So that's number 4. Coming in at number 3 is actually a second part of my number 2, which will all make sense eventually. Yes, how's that Roger Dean cover there? Uriah Heep's The Magician's Birthday. So yes, this is a follow-on from the previous album. It's kind of a concept, I would imagine, lots of sort of sword and sorcery stuff going on, which is what they did back in the day. And this is a brilliant album. This is them, I think, hitting their stride, the early part of Uriah Heep anyway. There's the back. This one also has a few bonus tracks. By the way, this was a 1969 release, the first one. And Sweet Freedom, I didn't give you the dates. I do apologize. This was mid-70s sometime, I think. The main thing is the music, of course. And on here, see if I can show you anything inside here. Once again, there's lyrics. That used to be the shots on the original vinyl. I did have this on vinyl, in fact. Wish I still did. I don't know what I did with mine. But this is, as I said, is the remastered. There's a few extra shots of the band. So this is Gary Thane, Lee Kerslake, Mick Box, Ken Hensley, and David Byron, obviously on vocals. Classic lineup. And what an incredible album. I mean, if you don't have this in your collection, you are really missing out. This and the one I'm going to speak about just now. There ain't a bad track on this album. Sunrise, which became a hit. Spider Woman, with a real funky beat to it. Blind Eye. Echoes in the Dark. Rain, which actually would appear on Ken Hensley's first solo album, Proud Words on a Dusty Shelf. He does his own version of that track, Rain. Sweet Lorraine, another hit. Tales, and then you get the brilliant prog-like Magician's Birthday with that sort of panning from left and right speaker. So you had David Byron doing vocals on the one side and I think Ken Hensley on the other, sort of the good and evil talking to each other. I think that's that track, Magician's Birthday. Brilliant stuff, lots of great organ keyboard work from Ken Hensley, of course, Mick Box on guitar. Then the two bonus tracks are Silver White Man and Crystal Ball, both previously unreleased. Folks, you got to have this. This is prime Uriah Heep, with, as I said, a great cover there. It looks so much better on vinyl, the big Roger Dean cover, and there's the cat at the back. Magician's Birthday, there we go. So you've probably worked it out. Yes, number 2, Demons and Wizards. And if it wasn't for my love of my number 1, this would be my number 1. You know, certain albums just have a particular place in your collection. So this is also very similar themes to it. Also a bit of prog involved. Same lineup as that one. Gary Thane, Lee Kerslake, Mick Box, Ken Hensley and David Byron. And yeah, another album with just stellar tracks. Starts off with The Wizard, which is an acoustic, starts off with an acoustic piece. Traveller in Time, which is quite proggy. Easy Living is another big hit for you. Full on rocker. Poet's Justice, Circle of Hands, stunning track. And then probably my favorite on the album, Rainbow Demon, very moody track, very kind of almost threatening in a way. Brilliantly done, and of course, great vocals from David Byron on that. All My Life, Paradise, and The Spell. Bonus tracks Y, single version, and then Y extended version, and Home Again to You, and all three of those have been previously unreleased. And let's just see. There, I remember watching. I really got into this band from my late cousin, passed away many years ago, and he had this album, and I used to borrow it from him, and really, I got hooked. There we go. There's another picture of the band. So that's my number 2, Demons and Wizards from Uriah Heep. From, this would have been 1970. Of course, there's no dates on here. This is early 70s, folks. If the first one was 69, this is probably around 72, 73. Let's see if I've got that right. 72, yes. So there we go. Demons and Wizards. Right, so we get to number 1, finally, in my ranking of David Byron and Uriah Heep. And it can only be one album. And I was lucky enough to find the original sort of cover with a mirror. Here we go. There's the camera. The phone, I should say. Uriah Heep's Look at Yourself. There's the back. So this is also a different lineup. Ken Hensley on organ, piano, guitar, acoustic guitar and vocal. Mick Box, lead guitar and acoustic guitar. David Byron, lead vocals. Paul Newton, bass guitar. They don't mention who's on drums here. I think it's Ollie Olsen as well. And the inside is the lyrics, and there's a little story about the album and how it came about. I'm not going to take that out. And I think I picked this up for 6 Rand. Yeah, many years ago. I love this album. I don't know why it's better for me than Uriah Heep's Demons and Wizards and Magician's Birthday. It just is. It just resonates with me for some reason. And I think it's because it's got balls. You know, the recording of this is just so perfect. It's got a lot of bottom end. It's got a lot of oomph. And it's what you want from a band like Uriah Heep. Starts off with Look at Yourself, the title track. Brilliant. Featuring guys from the band Ossie Bisa, that African band, and they're doing percussion on that track. And it's a great middle piece to that. I think there's an extended version as well of that track. This has been re-released with deluxe editions. This is just your original album version. I Want to Be Free. Excuse me, I just need some coffee here. And then the epic Stairway to Heaven type track, July Morning, where I don't think he even ever surpassed himself as he did with this David Byron. Never surpassed this track on any of the albums. It was just brilliant. So then you get side 2, Tears in My Eyes, Shadows of Grief, I should say. What Should Be Done, brilliant track, and then Love Machine. And if I'm not mistaken, What Should Be Done, I think, is also got like prog pieces to it, bits and stop-starts kind of thing. And then finally Love Machine, like I mentioned. Still on the Bronze label. You got to have this, folks, as you do with all the rest, but this one in particular. If you can get this original mirror, it would be great. But I don't think there's too many of them floating around. Yeah, it's been re-released on CD, deluxe versions, or what have you. But I'm quite happy with my vinyl version. There we go, David Byron. My ranking of his time in Uriah Heep. Hope you've enjoyed it, folks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And yeah, any comments down below? It'd be great to hear from you. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. We recovering here from a major storm last Monday, a week ago. Crazy stuff. Part of my back wall here came down. So I've got a guy coming in tomorrow to fix that. More money. It never ends. You know, when you have a house, there's always something you've got to spend money on. But yeah, it's winter. So although I must say for May, it was quite an unusual storm. The roads have been washed away. Farm crops have been destroyed. It's just been hectic. But hey, when Mother Nature has her way, there's not much you can do about it. Look after yourself, guys, and I'll catch you soon with another video. And yeah, take care. See you soon. Bye bye.